Good evening, friends. Welcome to the show. Welcome to my humble abode yet again for another of my occasional live streams. Tweak the camera here a little bit, although I frankly will tell you that the camera that's getting featured tonight is the one that I have taken with me for the last 30 years. Welcome to Little Lincoln, Virginia tonight, on this day after Earth Day, the 51st Earth Day. And I thought I'd give you a little tour around the neighborhood before we get started, because you probably have seen or heard me talk about Virginia this time of year. So I figured I'd share a little something with you. This is my gravel walking road where I wrote a whole lot of the book, Treasures in My Chest, in my head, and worked it all out over the course of 2019. And as you see, the scenery around here is pretty special this time of year. That's what a redbud tree looks like up close. By the way, while I'm showing some pictures of home to you, how about letting me know where you're tuned in from tonight? Thank you for sharing that with me. I would be grateful and glad to know you're here and from where. I'm going to do one quick flickety thing here. Hopefully that's not going to make a mess out of things. Hold tight. Should still be live the whole time. There we go. Not a big deal. Okay, so there are our redbud trees, and you hear us talk about the bluebells down on the floodplain. Ta-da! Welcome to Bluebell Alley. That's down along the Shenandoah River. And this is a typical floodplain scene. About this time of night when it's dusky, it almost looks like a blue mist hanging on the riverbanks. So I thought tonight it would be kind of fun to take you for a short little cruise, because you see the redbuds on the side of the road, but you might not get quite the sense of what it's like when you're just driving along, especially in the Shenandoah Valley. So my daughter and I went to Shenandoah National Park the other day, and we made a little video going down the road, and it's kind of grainy through the windshield, but it'll give you a sense of just how much purple one can see around here. Let me see if I can make this thing start right up. No, I made it go away. Doe. There we go. Nice. Hi, Gene from New Jersey. Welcome to Virginia tonight. Taking a little drive down the redbud-lined US 340 here. It's just kind of hard to describe that much purple to anyone, anyplace else. Hi, A. It's great to see you here, friend. I'm looking forward to taking in some beautiful Virginia scenery with y'all next weekend. Anyway, and Sue is here. Hello to Sue and Brian and family. So I just thought I'd take you for a little cruise before we got started tonight. So, Earth Day. Since that original Earth Day back in 1970, we have really made some enormous progress. Vincent and Leslie, it's great to see you here too. Yay! You've certainly captured a lot of beautiful images in your camera too. Mine is that of a sort of a photojournalist on the road and on the ride. So since that original Earth Day, though, we have made a lot of progress. The slow but steady recovery of iconic birds like the bald eagle and the California condor and the whooping crane, and keystone mammals like the Florida panther, the grizzly bear, and the red wolf. It shows us the possibilities when biology, policy, and public interest intersect. On that first Earth Day back in 1970, what flowed past our National Mall was barely better than an open sewer, and the Potomac River is certainly a much more alive and vibrant ecosystem now. Hello, my friend. Now we're coast to coast. It's good to see you here, Eva. Yay, I'm happy you're here. So as we look at our Earth Day this year, obviously we're facing a lot different kinds of problems. And a lot of them are, frankly, connected to the fact that we are continuing to wrap more and more insulation around our planet. Fred, greetings to Lubeck. It's good to see you here, friend. There's some pictures from your part of the world here, too. Hello, Pete. Fantastic. Well, I've got so many cool things to share with you tonight, and I'm ever an optimist about Earth Day. We've learned a lot, even as our population puts pressures on our planet's natural systems. I thought, what would it be like if we could maybe have different kinds of conversations about this amazing water world we call home? So I thought, rather than talk about issues and all of that at the outset, that I would take you for a cruise. Share some of the magical experiences and vistas that I've seen in nearly 1 million miles over these last 30 years. There aren't Yosemites or Yellowstones or any of the grandeur like that to be seen here tonight, because you've probably seen that on your own. But I've been thinking about reimagining Earth Day, about energy and water and air and earth. So I figured tonight I'd share some of the beautiful mountain places that I call home and nearby to home. Just a handful of pictures from hither and yon. Appalachia, the Southern Appalachians, Central Appalachians. Hello again, Eric, and hello, Michael and Lillian. It's wonderful to have you here, neighbors. Dark Hollow Falls in Shenandoah National Park. The flame azaleas and mountain laurel that bloom up along the Blue Ridge Parkway in June. Just a spectacular sight. Just a handful of little things I've collected in my journey. For those of you who've never been to the Blue Ridge Parkway or to Shenandoah National Park or any of our southern Appalachian Highlands regions, I thought it would be kind of cool to share. And yes, you can actually find wild ponies grazing in the high meadows at the Grayson Highlands State Park in Southwest Virginia. More of our wildflowers and our trails, and every now and then you find a fairy elf along the way. That was some years ago. Then again, I've had plenty of time to take pictures. The beautiful outcrops of Shenandoah National Park. We caught an amazing, beautiful day there the other day, so I'm glad to have a little of that to share with you too. That's looking south into Georgia from the Blue Ridge Parkway. And yes, autumn comes to these mountains too. But since it's springtime, I thought I would settle into a little bit of spring kind of thing for you. Now, I want to share one more thing with you. This is Mars. What an amazing experience these last couple of weeks have been with the landing of Perseverance and the helicopter Ingenuity. What an incredible thrill our technology and skill has given us, along with the previous generations of rovers. I can only imagine that Galileo and his fellow star scholars of his day would simply marvel at what our science and technology have accomplished. And yet, what's missing from this incredible image? There is not a single cell, largely static, shaped almost completely now by wind. We in our water world have it good, especially this time of year. Spring comes here with the blooming of the crocus, brings sharply into focus all the beauty of this land. The Blue Ridge turns from its winter's purplish hue to a greener shade than you could describe with words. The daffodils spring to greet newborn leaves of splendor. My simple mind wonders at magic that they make. Bluebirds come, bringing warmer days behind them, their beauty almost blinding where the field and forest meet. Now as I lay me down to sleep, I pray this way of life for my soul now to keep. The seasons are speaking and the time wheel is creaking, and this old dominion calls me like a lover tried and true. Shenandoah is flowing and the valley is glowing under yellow sun and azure sky calling me. April brings blooming flowers to all the treetops. From redbuds, bumblebees bop, drinking nectar sweet. The highlands burst with azaleas in the deep wood. Clear creeks running through pools, looking for the sea. Now as I lay me down to sleep, I pray this way of life for my soul now to keep. The seasons are speaking and the time wheel is creaking, and this old dominion calls me like lover tried and true. Shenandoah is flowing and the valley is glowing under yellow sun and azure sky, calling me home. I've become part of these valleys and peaks, thunderstorms and babbling creeks. Muggy summer's days melt into autumn leaves that turn and drop and cover my ears. Winter's chill paints hoary frost upon my window. Tin roof rattles as the wind blows, making lots of noise. By crackling fire as I curl up for the evening, with a good book and some tea leaves, simple mind wandering to the coming of the spring. Now as I lay me down to sleep, I pray this way of life for my soul now to keep. The seasons are speaking and the time wheel is creaking, and this old dominion calls me like a lover tried and true. Shenandoah is flowing and the valley is glowing under yellow sun and azure sky, calling me home, calling me home, calling me home. Welcome to springtime in this old dominion, family and friends alike. I am loving seeing you all here. Thank you so very much. Hopefully the pictures are coming through okay when I'm doing them. Of course, I'm not doing them while I'm singing because I really can't do more than chew gum and walk at the same time. However, I'm hoping that you get to enjoy some of what I've seen along the way, and this is the first time I've ever done a show where I've actually been able to share some of that in something other than telling a story about it, and it's really kind of cool to be able to do it. So I learned a whole bunch of new tricks with my broadcasting software, and I thought what I would do is kind of do the pictures in between and sort of talk about some of the issues that have been sort of not bubbling beneath the surface, but have been laying out here in front. And certainly one of them that is always ever present here in Loudoun County is what we call development pressure. This is the nearby dairy farm. Too often, I wind up seeing them turn to this, a farm gone fallow, because it is waiting for the money to come. This is a shot I took over in Leesburg just today. And quickly, there is a neighborhood, and of course it's not happening just here, it's happening all over the country. People need a place to live. And this is why local zoning and local elections and all of that stuff really matters, because somehow or other we've got to decide what we want to preserve of those beautiful places and of that farmland. After all, it's what keeps us fed. This is called Cedars. Unmarked blacktop winds back in time, remembered ways I've known and left behind. The signs have changed, but the way is clear. It's been so long since I've been here. Memories point past that sycamore tree. Make a left where the miller's red barn used to be. The gravel gently gives beneath my wheels, and I remember how it feels. A rusted tractor rests among the cedar trees. A pause between the past and what's to be. 10,000 houses won't leave any space. This was home when this was a different place. These windows watch 3 generations grow old. A silent statue stands to times long ago. When they say you can't go home again, I know what they mean. For I still see those fields of green. A rusted tractor rests among the cedar trees. A pause between a past and what's to be. 10,000 houses won't leave any space. This was home when this was a different place. Open red clay wounds weep every time it rains. Castles grow instead of acres of grain. And I wonder if those kids will know where food comes from, and if someday they'll ask where we have gone. A rusted tractor rests among the cedar trees. Pause between the past and what's to be. 10,000 houses won't leave any space. This was home when this was a different place. This was a different place. Cedars, from Something Worth Standing For. Well, it's delightful to see so many of you here tonight. Thank you so very much. I'm going to take a minute to do the usual bits of business here that are important. One, is it sounding okay? Is the balance between the voice and the guitar all right? I've always got the mic tipping to deal with to get it just balanced sort of reasonably well. And I want you to be able to hear the lyrics, of course, but it's also kind of important to be able to hear the guitar and not have it sound like a toy. So that's part of the balancing thing. Also, I could afford to be less of a well-kept secret. So if you feel like telling people on Facebook or email or even over the barnyard fence that we're here doing this tonight, please do invite them to come on over and join us. I'm planning on taking quite a spin around the country. I'd love to fill this jalopy as full as we can possibly get it, because that would be fabulous. So I have traveled a fair amount of blue highways, as William Least Heat Moon calls them, and I enjoy very much finding those squiggly lines on the map where the switchbacks and the gravel and all the rest of that. And oftentimes I'll plan a tour, and as part of the tour, I'll be sort of thinking about, well, what can I go see that's, that I haven't been to before? What can I go and do? And I've been to so many cool places: the swamps of the Southeast, prairie places, Rocky Mountain places, New England places, and I have not begun to really dive hard into the pictures that I've accumulated in the pre-digital camera era. But those first 10 years, I spent a lot of time traveling a lot of pretty cool places, and maybe next Earth Day we'll go to more to the Pacific Northwest and New England than we do this time around. But at any rate, one of my favorite things is kind of driving around in the treeless high plains for some reason or another. And I don't know if it's because of things like Texas bluebonnets, for instance, or just seeing wildflowers in general, or maybe it's just trying to imagine what people's lives were like out on the high plains, especially those who came trying to turn land like this into farms and homesteads and all that in the 1800s. And the tumbleweed and barbed wire is sort of a bit of a relic. This is from the Nebraska Sandhills, another favorite place. And yes, there are mountains in Oklahoma, and there's your proof. But it's the family farms that sort of get my interest, too. Watching especially the little farms that are clearly not part of a big corporate ecosystem, but are probably shareholding to those folks. They're their only customer. And this is the last dairy farm in my county, in Loudoun County. This is right down the road from me. This is the Dogwood Farm. And believe it or not, there are a few milking cows hiding over there in the back, but they were all in the wrong part of the field today when I was taking the picture. So there's a lot of people here who devote a lot of time and energy to keeping the rest of us fed. And I am deeply grateful for that. We are lucky here in Loudoun County that we are able to not only have people who can grow food and specialty food and make wine and beer and distilled spirits too, but manage to have a market for it here in one of the wealthier counties in the United States. And I think for those people who are trying to make a go of it out in the Midwest, in the vowel states in particular, maybe things aren't quite so easy. And every year you sort of think the same thing to yourself. Can I hang on and do this one more? Coffee's hot, though it's not yet dawn. The autumn geese call out their winter warning song. Seeds I've sown stand 6 feet tall, waiting in the morning sun. Fertilized with pain and prayer that this day would come. These rolling fields, rich with soybeans, wheat and corn, a treasure chest. Most every year since I was born. Cycles of the seasons and the rhythms of the dirt. If we can't make it work no more, I can't tell you how that hurt. So give me one more year before I have to face the facts that our golden days, they ain't never coming back. There'll still be food on your table. Will you know where it comes from when my farm on down the road is up and gone? Winter wind, each year gets harder on my bones. Can't blame my sons. Put roots down in nice suburban homes. That real estate Christmas at my door. And each year I close it wondering if I can take much more. So give me one more year before I have to face the facts that our golden days ain't never coming back. There'll still be food on your table. Will you know where it comes from when my farm on down the road is up and gone? A gambling man, he knows the odds before he rolls, but farmers' plans are acts of faith that take their toll. Begging with the bankers, pleading with the bureau man, taking checks for fattening hogs, ain't living on the land. So give me one more year before I have to face the facts that our golden days ain't never coming back. There'll still be food on your table. Will you know where it comes from when my farm on down the road is up and gone? When my farm on down the road is up and gone. When my farm's gone down the road. To South Dakota. Gene, it's good to see you. Claudia, my dear cousin in Georgia, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that all of you are here. Thank you for that. Thank you for passing the word along to people that we're doing this tonight. So a lot of the songs and stories that sort of went into my environmental engineering experience tended to overlap with my musical life for a good long time. And I've been fortunate enough to see some of the places that have cleaned up. I've seen some of the places that have changed, and I'm glad that I got a chance to capture some of it. I can see that my phone is lighting up, and I want to say thank you for all of you who are using that donate link up at the top of the chat. That's what's helping. This is my tour for the whole month of May, this multimedia experience live from my Make a Living room, and I'm grateful for all of that. Thank you. I appreciate it a lot, whether it's PayPal or Venmo or Square. How different the world is than when I was trucking around with Where This River Runs in my pocket 23 years ago. So I'm going to take a journey down that river now. In fact, we're going to head down the mighty Mississippi. And of course, most of my pictures of the Mississippi River are of bridges, because that's all I got. The bridge at Davenport, Iowa, Vicksburg, Mississippi. And here is New Orleans, just downstream from all of the chemical manufacturing plants and refineries in the Baton Rouge area, and a whole lot of this in between, blackwater cypress swamps. Now, I was always the kid who had the overactive imagination, so to me, all of that seemed to be kind of the place you'd not want to get lost after dark. I always thought it was kind of a perfect recipe for chemical voodoo. dark patch of bayou swamp where angels fear to tread. Pipes long forgotten from beneath refineries and chemical voodoo hang like heat from hell. The swamp keeps dark secrets, there's no one's return to tell. Chemical voodoo. The legends come in whispers, his name they will not speak. One night his Piro vanished in a tangle of cypress trees. That he met his maker, that much is certainty. And chemical voodoo hang like heat from hell. The swamp keeps dark secrets, there's no one's return to tell. Chemical voodoo. Oh, oh, called the factory lights cannot penetrate the trees. It dank with evil, and the wind blows like disease. Under eyes of industrial skies, so far from Saint Evangeline. And chemical voodoo hang like heat from hell. The swamp keeps dark secrets, there's no one's return to tell. Whoa, now chemical voodoo. The mighty Mississippi, the good, the bad, and the everything that it's hauling on out to the Gulf of Mexico. There's a really cool and sort of radical project that I've been following called the Batteria Rediversion Project, and it is to take the Mississippi River and restore some of its flow out to the marshes to the west of the current riverbank, which is, of course, leveed, channeled, dammed, and otherwise managed. It would start to renew some of the coastline that Louisiana is losing at the rate of like 3 or 4 football fields a day, due to all the channeling of the marshes by the oil and gas exploration folks. It would be a really major thing to start putting some sediment back where it used to be and protect the coastline and the fisheries. Not only the farmers, but the fishermen that keep us fed. And so one of the things that I've been following on Instagram is some folks who are doing the Restore the Mississippi Basin project. And I've got some Instagram follows on a list that I will share later on, and also I'll post on my Facebook page and Instagram when we're done, because there's some people doing some really exciting, really cool work that is making the planet a better place, bringing some things back into balance, and that is pretty awesome indeed. Speaking of pretty awesome indeed, there is a new national park, and it's next door to us here in Virginia. It's over in West Virginia, and I want to introduce you to the New River Gorge National Park. I spent a couple of days there, and I woke up one morning, and that was what I saw from the rim. But there's the canyon, the gorge itself. Now, West Virginia's history and its scenic beauty go hand in hand. I have to say that one of the things that you see more frequently than natural beauty sometimes in parts of West Virginia is the legacy of the coal industry, both modern day and leftovers. Now, I will say that I've seen the future, perhaps, of Appalachian energy from high mountaintops in West Virginia. And they often are turning in the breeze, and they have their own consequences too. But I'd like to think that the consequences are a bit less than the effects of mountaintop removal coal mining. I got to meet some people who were normal, everyday people who became activists because mountaintop removal came to their communities. And this is what it looks like. The mountains used to look like what you see in the back there, and now they don't. And of course, it takes a long time for anything to be able and willing to grow there. In the amount of time that I've been traveling in southern West Virginia and getting to know some of those folks, I've written a few songs that have gotten involved in some projects, and I thought I would do one of those tonight. For the people who live in the shadow of mountaintop removal, it can be pretty devastating. The floods, when there's no trees holding the rainwater back, there's an awful lot that's changed, and it's awful hard to go and do the traditional things that one's family has done for generations. And of course, once the coal is gone, what's left? So as West Virginia faces its economy of the future, perhaps, maybe the bringing of broadband and tourism and other things will allow people to live close to the land in a way that we can not be so negligent about, shall we say. I've often thought that when we flip a power switch for one of those data centers here in Loudoun County that power this internet that we're using tonight, a mountaintop blows off in West Virginia. So this is for the folks of the Coal River Valley. It's called Made by Hand. Granddad was a union man, worked deep beneath the ground. Say a prayer in the morning and again to see the sun go down. Day from night by lantern light to earn enough to eat. By Saturday moon on the mountainside, the fiddle moved their feet. Went into mines at 14, took a wife at 21. Raised 5 kids in the holler like his daddy done. The company cut costs and corners everywhere it could. Still every Sunday they gave thanks that they had it good. For I know the times are changing, they say progress is good. And do we honor honest work like my granddaddy would? The eagle soaring high, would he recognize his land? Built upon the sturdy backs of those who made by hand. Daddy left these mountains for the mills of Ohio. Rolled a steel that won the war far away from home. Back in Granddad's holler, big timber stripped the land. Laid railroad tracks it can't bring back long for West Virginia, her hard blue rolling hills. Memories of childhood, I hear those echoes still. But my family stories vanished, with no trace I could find. They even tore the mountain down my granddad used to mine. I know the times are changing, they say progress is good. Do we honor honest work like my granddaddy would? The eagle soaring high, would he recognize this land built upon the sturdy backs of those who made my hand? Built upon the sturdy backs of those who made my hand. Thank you, friends. What a delight it is to have you over tonight. But to also get to be your tour guide, to get to take you places. This is so cool. I've lamented the fact that it's been very, very limited amount of time with other people and real world stuff in this last year. And to be able to know that you're here from coast to coast tonight is really pretty darn special. But it's especially nice that we don't have to stay here. We get to go places. I was thinking about that Mars photo that I shared earlier. And I was thinking about, there is a little bit of water on Mars. There's a little bit of water vapor on Mars. There was actually a picture that NASA posted the other day from Curiosity that showed these thin, wispy clouds. When the atmospherics are just right, a little bit of water vapor escapes from the soil. But it is an arid desert world with nothing on it except our machines. And it's cool and starkly beautiful, but we live on the most miraculous blue ball water planet. It's crazy. So one of the things I thought we should do tonight is spend a little time appreciating water. These are the headwaters of the Colorado River, already being depleted for the cities of the eastern slope. And this is spring water in Florida, the groundwater that supplies so much of their needs. Nebraska, the sandhills, this small trickle of river, and of course, Appalachian water, the power of falling water. Great falls here on the Potomac during a flood we got to see with Amy and Stephen. In fact, that was a picture from that day. And the swamps that play such an important but poorly understood role on our coastal ecosystems. The Colorado River, again, just below Lee's Ferry and the dam. And this, from my friend from Maine, this is from Acadia. I've got a shot from near Lubeck later on. The thing about the water world is that we're all connected by it. We all need it. We all depend on it. I go through a gallon of it doing one of these shows. I walk in my house and miracle of miracles, I pull the tap on my sink and water comes up 60 feet out of the ground and into my glass and it's drinkable and it won't kill me. I find that amazing sometimes. And yet, it doesn't take much to disturb the system. A friend of mine told me the story of her family's farm. 10 acres of land at the foot of the Great Smoky Mountains in a place called Cosby, Tennessee. Down below where the headwaters of the Pigeon River rise up in the graveyard fields on the Blue Ridge Parkway. An amazingly beautiful place. But their land was included an island in the middle of the Pigeon River that she had never been out to because the Pigeon River was downstream of the Champion Paper Mill in Canton, North Carolina for some 80 years. She told me this story over her kitchen table, and I realized that I was being given a great gift. For people from Appalachia have a tendency to not welcome outsiders all that often or easily. I felt that her story needed to be told. This is called The Other Way. That old photo shows my farm along this river clear. So long ago, before that paper mill appeared. My granddad is that man fishing on the bank, in the gentle shadow of these smoky mountain flanks. My faith will take me someday to the promised land, and I know it'll look just like my home before this curse began. And if I could change the world, wonder what they'd say if this dirty river flowed the other way. 8 decades passed since that day they flipped the switch, and unimagined nightmares poured downstream while they got rich. The government brought permits, hearings, bureaucrats, and files. The river brought us cancer while their lawyers brought denials. My faith will take me someday to the promised land, and I know it'll look just like my home before this curse began. And if I could change the world, wonder what they'd say if this dirty river flowed the other way. I take deep regret into my twilight years. What unknown demons face the ones I hold so dear? Bury me along these banks in our Appalachian way, in the hope this stinking river will flow pure again someday. My faith will take me someday to the promised land, and I know it'll look just like my home before this curse began. If I could change the world, I wonder what they'd say when this dirty river flowed the other way, and when this dirty river flowed the other way. The Other Way, from Where This River Runs. The Pigeon River is a much cleaner river today. In fact, not too many years after Linda told me her story, the mill transferred ownership to the employees. And I don't know if it still runs, but they kept it running for some period of time. But the Pigeon River is a much cleaner river now. They go whitewater rafting on it, and it's quite a ride. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff buried in the mud of the Pigeon River, and despite the seasonal floods that all rivers go through, that's going to be a persistent long-term problem, much like our Shenandoah River here, which is one of the best smallmouth bass fisheries in the world because you can't eat anything that comes out of the Shenandoah without taking health risks from the PCBs that are going to be buried in the sediments there long after anybody remembers the name of the Avtex Fibers plant that dumped them there over decades. However, the fact that we're able to enjoy these rivers now and that they are cleaner than they were is progress. But we've kind of taken care of a lot of the easier stuff. A lot of the issues nowadays with water tend to come from what we call non-point sources, not the pipe coming out of a factory or a municipal sewage plant, but agricultural runoff. And as our economy has grown towards agricultural industry of hoarding together lots and lots of farm animals, chickens, cattle, hogs, waste on the land and coming from those facilities is now a non-point source problem, the agricultural runoff. And here in the Chesapeake Bay watershed, we've done a lot to try to mitigate that. And the Chesapeake has actually had a pretty good year. I thought I would share a handful of things. This is the Shenandoah River, which dumps into the Chesapeake. And there are an awful lot of chicken farms there. Here is a bald eagle that flew behind where I was playing at Riverbend Park one day, and it's blurry, but I got an eagle, man, at my gig. The tidal marshes that keep so much of our estuarine ecosystems going, nurseries for so many species, and the swamps, and of course, the birds that feed on all of them. The Chesapeake is a treasure. I have friends who actually have land that has been in their family, I kid you not, since 1618. And they live down near to Cape Charles on the eastern shore. And they are at a place where the bay is wider than 13 miles, so you can't see any land on the other side of it, so you can watch the sun set over the Chesapeake. And it's an amazing, incredible experience. But there are places in the Chesapeake that are disappearing now. Smith Island, Tangier Island. As the ice caps melt, the sea level rises, and those shorelines are more and more in danger. And things that are built on them are more and more in danger. But there's also another piece to that puzzle, and that is that the water chemistry changes. With every degree the water rises, it can hold more carbon dioxide. And it also means that the freshwater saltwater balance in those estuaries gets different as more saltwater comes up the Chesapeake. It is cool that we see dolphins in the Potomac River, in the tidal Potomac River. But there are a lot of things about this change that are going to have profound impacts on us and the things that we depend on. I think to myself sometimes, though, that somehow or other we will find a way to land on the moon. We will find a way to fly a helicopter on Mars, and we will find a way to figure out how to deal with wrapping too much insulation around this beautiful magical ball before we find more places like Atlantis. It is still along the Parkway. Beyond the gate, the road is closed. Winter rain drips on the laurel. Fog moves in like ghosts. In the valley below me lies a cloud sea that hides the lake, that hides my home. If you'd had me guess in my childhood, this is not how I dreamed life would go. They say Moses raised his hands to part the Red Sea, but even Moses couldn't hold back TVA sink our story far beneath the waves. Engineers said flood would take us if we didn't build a dam to hold the rain. But I've confusion swirling round their solutions. To me the end result seems the same. Now trophy fish take refuge in the chapel. No sounds of children, hymns, or wedding bells. And I wonder if the anglers high above can hear them. I don't think those echoes travel water well. Say Moses raised his hands to part the Red Sea, but even Moses couldn't hold back TVA from flooding our holler for the almighty dollar. Sink our story far beneath the waves. They might have found Atlantis, shining city deep in ocean blue. And I wonder if the natives of that fair town ever had the chance to feel these things I do. Say Moses raised his hands to part the Red Sea, but even Moses couldn't hold back TVA from flooding our holler for the almighty dollar. Sink our story far beneath the waves, and sink our story far beneath the waves. It is still along the Parkway, and I am leaving on the wings of ghosts. That song was inspired by meeting some people who grew up in a town in East Tennessee that no longer is there. And one of my favorite places to visit in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina is the Joyce Kilmer Memorial Forest. Some of the finest old-growth Appalachian forest. Too hard for the loggers to get at during the cut and run early 1900s, and so it is there for us to enjoy if we are willing to make the effort to get there. So, one of the things that I guess I struggle with a little bit is we have opposing viewpoints about things about this place that we call home, right? And we all share it. It's like we all live in this house. We all live in this house, and we might have separate rooms, but we all live in this house. And somehow or other, the things that we do to the house wind up affecting all of us eventually in some way or another. And I was thinking about it tonight. I was like, I get it that people think things are expensive, and there are lifestyle changes that are going to be necessary for a fair amount of things related to the climate if we're going to have polar ice caps in 50 years. And yet, I think about, what is it that means so much to me? And I thought that I would share a little of that. This is near Lubeck, my friend Fred. This is your part of the world. It is this thing that nature does to and for us. The healing power of wonder, beauty, amazing places, medicinal plants, animals that feed us. But it is all of it. It's all how amazing that our story is layered in rocks 2 billion years old in the Grand Canyon and emerges every 17 years from the dirt with the cicadas, or shows up on the branches of redbud trees and the ends of bluebells that pop up on the floodplain. It's part of us. It's part of what makes our lives and our journey on this planet so special. All of these places, all of this beauty, ours to keep, should we be able to hold on to it. I think oftentimes of the people who've captured those moments for me, the moments of grandeur and glory. And I think of how much good it's done for my soul, even in the hardest of times. And yes, there you go, a rainbow over the Grand Canyon, because you deserve that. Will there be another Ansel Adams, American original, sculptor of shadow and light? Will another have the patience to await the perfect moment when the elements and angles are just right? Ansel Adams was no hero, cursed with pride and foible, but like any Einstein you find, take everything you can. Seraphim of film and format, a wizard of the lens, freezing magic in a frame of stone and sand. And in a range of light, a gentleman revealed his heart, showed us treasures God in plain sight hid. And in a sacred setting, shutter clicking on the wind, let us see like Ansel Adams did. A moment is so precious in our hurried rush lives, seems the only way to save it is hanging over the TV. And our modern generation focused on the destination, is it still a thing of beauty if we move too fast to see? And in a range of light, a gentleman revealed his heart, showed us treasures God in plain sight hid. And in a sacred setting, shutter clicking on the wind, let us see like Ansel Adams did. Chases shadows, I've been known to talk to ghosts, and I strain to hear echoes of the past. His reflections in still waters, spires soaring to the sky, all remind me that this heartbreak will not last. And in a range of light, a gentleman revealed his heart, showed us treasures God in plain sight hid. And in a sacred setting, shutter clicking on the wind. Let us see like Ansel Adams did. There be another Ansel Adams, American original, sculptor of shadow and light. Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for letting me take you on this little travelogue, this celebration of this beautiful place we call home, and maybe an honest rummage through the closet while we're at it. And a whole lot of beautiful memories and pictures and maybe some songs that you like too along the way. Thank you. I still see my phone, the little, I can't see anything other than it's just the blue of a PayPal or a Venmo thing. But thank you. You are making my life and music possible. You are making this crazy new thing that I'm trying tonight possible because I put a lot of time into doing it. And I am very deeply indebted to you for helping to support that. Thank you so much. Arnie, it's wonderful to see you. Linda, too. I'm glad that y'all are here. Thank you so much for tuning in. So this instrument, this thing that has kept me company since I was a teenager, this box with strings. I have a few of them here. Not all of them have been with me all that time, but you get the point. They come from living things. One would like to think that they are living things in the hands of a luthier too. But I thought, there's been an awful lot of really cool places that I've been. And next up is a little tour of some of that. Because after all, when you see trees the size of these redwoods in Northern California, oh my. That's old growth forest at Mount Rainier National Park in Washington. And this is from the Joyce Kilmer. This is a winter day in the Joyce Kilmer, and those trees are every bit as massive. This is what happens when a redwood goes down. Things start to grow on it, and it takes its place in the cycle of decomposition and renewal. New trees growing out of the trunk of the old one. When Marty Fair built me this guitar out of a local black walnut tree, I thought, well, we've got to write a song for the documentary that we're making about this project. And my longtime friend and bandmate Les Thompson said that because Marty and I were in the movie talking about this project, that the song ought to be in the voice of the tree. And I really didn't have a great way to approach that. I mean, you saw what those trees do. They lay there on the ground and they rot and they turn into dirt. And that's the cycle of life. But not for every tree. Lots of trees get turned into houses. Some get turned into paper. I try to make sure that the amount of new trees that I'm personally responsible for turning into new paper is as minimal as possible, because that's one of those great things about recycled paper. I don't need it fresh from a nice old tree. I don't mind using your cardboard boxes from your cereal boxes and all the other things that get processed into recycled paper. I'm good with that. Sometimes, instead of recycling, we repurpose and renew. Such is the case with reincarnation. I have been a sturdy tree, growing strong for a century, with roots and branches, rings and burls. I want to see the great wide world. Want to see the great wide world. Sheltered creatures, great and small, down the Blue Ridge Mountain tall. I listen to my branch birds sing. Oh, what I'd see if I had wings. What I'd see if I had wings. the saw or storm, tumbled to the forest floor. With smooth cut sand is shaped and stained. By craftsman's hand I'm born again. By craftsman's hand I'm born again. Given singing strings, toned just like a church bell rings. Now I travel across this land, and I found my voice in your hand. I found my voice in your hands. Sturdy tree, growing strong for a century. Roots and branches, rings and pearls. Now I'm off to see the great wide world. I'm off to see the great wide world. By a craftsman's hand. Oh my goodness, how did you get in here, cat? Go, Lord. We have a cat problem. It's only a problem if she jumps up on my lap while I'm singing. So, I promised you some things tonight, and I'm about to deliver on some more of those things. One of them was that I would tell you about some of my favorite drives. And I do have some. If you're planning a road trip, absolutely, I've got things for you. One of my favorites, of course, is the Blue Ridge Parkway. I happened to catch it on a morning when it was frosty up top. This is Skyline Drive in Shenandoah National Park. Of course, our local treasure. And the old gravel road 621 along the Shenandoah River from just last week. This, Edisto Island. Edisto is like a trip back in time, South Carolina. This is part of Route 2 along the sandhills of Nebraska. Spectacular. This, the Konza Prairie near Manhattan, Kansas. And yes, those are indeed buffalo. And one of my favorite kind of vanishing point roads that one finds out in Arizona and New Mexico. And of course, it wouldn't be complete without the highway to Big Sur, California 1, along the coast. An amazing, amazing collection of roads. I also am a fan of some of the roads in Utah. Route 12 between Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef. Route 128 along the Colorado River. We'll see a couple of scenes from that in a little bit too. The road less traveled is always the thing that seems to beckon to me most of all. But there are certain roads that will always have some sentimental significance too, because of experiences I had along the way or songs that I wrote on the drive. It's nothing but a cat, you know. She doesn't sing harmony or anything. She just kind of marches to her own drummer. Climbing on this big jet plane, headed into western skies. And if I had a rearview mirror, it's how I'd pass the time. Looking back on leaving I've done, should be old hat by now. I want too much lingering touch. Did I hold her too long? 1,800 miles from the Chesapeake to this great divide. 1,800 miles separate me from the inside. I am lonesome, lonesome under western skies. Drive this road that long ago echoed with hooves, Arapaho. And as I pass these ranches, I almost feel their ghosts striding along. Never cared for conquistadors plundering mountains for gold. Please don't fear, I haven't come here to prospect for love or reward. 1,800 miles from the Chesapeake to this great divide. 1,800 miles separate me from the truth inside. I am lonesome, lonesome under western skies. Oh, 50 West beckons like an old friend, leading me to parts unknown. I draw gallons of cold comfort, knowing this road leads me home. Is it my heart missed her from the start, or just thin air getting to my head? 1,800 miles from the Chesapeake to this great divide. 1,800 miles separate me from the truth inside. Where I am lonesome, lonesome, lonesome under western skies. Whoa. Indeed, the old Snickersville Turnpike. 15 miles of winding road between Aldie and Bluemont, from the gap in the mountain to the foot of the mountain. I wrote an article on the website, and I think you can find it pretty easily. It might be connected to the blog, but you can just probably search for it, about my favorite drives. And there are some details here and there about all different parts of the country too, not just here, not just out west, but a lot of different places. So I encourage you to look that up. But I did promise you tonight to sort of share a few little tidbits of, how we might lighten our own footprints a little bit. They say, act locally and affect change globally when lots of people do it together. One small thing multiplied by millions is a big thing. So one of the things that we do a lot of gardening, and we have so many invasive weeds. Here are a couple this is garlic mustard. It is something that will take over on roadsides, much like Tree of Heaven. And then there's this guy too, which is an oriental bittersweet, beautiful berries, but it chokes out all the native vegetation that our birds and bees, and the 4 Bs as I call them, the birds, bats, bees, and butterflies all depend on. So wherever you can, planting native stuff is good. Letting stuff grow a little wild in some corner of your yard is good too. Maybe not quite so much caring about what's green in the yard, as long as there is a multiculture of yard greenness. Maybe that's okay. Maybe the idea of downsizing the amount of plastic that we use. My goodness, I feel personally responsible for like 55 gallons of oil just in packaging things in just like the last couple of weeks. And as I always say, when it's time to go for a bike ride up to town to pick something up, or choose the car, do we need to burn dinosaurs for this mission or not? I have this dream that someday soon everyone's roof will be painted with this solar material that simply captures all that energy that turns your house and your attic into an oven in the summertime, or loses heat like crazy in the wintertime, and at least powers the things in your house that run on direct current, which is like everything digital. Even though everything that comes into your walls, to be able to transmit electricity, we have to do alternating current. A lot of the things that we use are with batteries and all of the rest of that. It's all direct current. Wouldn't it be cool if we could power more stuff off of our own roof? It would be really free energy sitting out there. I'd take it in a heartbeat. And maybe, a little bit lighter on the industrial agriculture thing. If I could eat a little bit less meat that comes from the chicken concentrating plants and the beef concentrating plants, I would probably be a happier guy about that. But more importantly, by shopping local and eating local, you're supporting local farms and local farmers and local agri-entrepreneurs, if you will. And that's kind of a cool thing too. So before I close out tonight, I had put together a couple of things for you, just some sort of sweet stuff, things that I captured in my camera because I stopped and took the time to, or I got lucky. Wildflowers from all over the place, just beautiful little sights. These are all from home, dogwoods and redbuds and bluebells. But hello, cat. And of course, azaleas. Everybody loves a good azalea when it's doing its thing properly. Cat, I can't let you up on my lap right now. We're doing a show here. Yes, this is very important. I know your chin is itchy, but that's just not where we're going here. Poor thing. These are some wildflowers from up in the Alpine Gardens in the Rocky Mountains. We happened to be there in August, just when it was incredible. And there's a shot in here somewhere of Trail Ridge Road, wildflower meadows, and of course, bluebonnets. The best things about Texas are Big Bend, Tex-Mex, and bluebonnets. And these guys, these are endangered wood storks. I just happened to see them in the Everglades. Lots of cool birds. Just kind of things that I wanted to share with you. A baby gator. He didn't really care that I got too close to him, and I didn't get quite as close as it looks. This was right outside our window. That's a red-shouldered hawk, and he lives here. He makes a fair racket. If you know what kind of butterfly this is, I'd love to know. I think I caught him on a mountaintop someplace. And this is from out at the Wichita Mountains National Wildlife Refuge in Oklahoma. A prairie dog and buffalo. Two animals that cohabitate because they need each other. And then Boo Boo breaking into our campsite last year when we were camping down in the mountains of Central Virginia. So if you want to know more and you want to follow more people doing really cool stuff, these are some folks doing some really neat work. The Florida Panther Project is they have trail cams in the swamps that are capturing so much cool stuff. George Steinmetz is a guy who has been flying for years and doing aerial photography, and now he's using drones, and he has a coffee table book that is over the moon crazy good. Any National Park Service is showing off the beauty spots and highlights of their parks. You can also follow U.S. Interior and the National Park Service. Pretty fantastic. This is also National Parkway, who's just doing some really cool stuff with drones and wildlife cameras and stuff. His name is Brian Ballack. And of course, you can follow me, and you'll probably see me commenting on some of those folks too. But I will post this both on my Instagram and on Facebook later on too. But anyway, I figure before I go, I should take us back home. This is my daily gravel road walk. This is Sunset in Lincoln. And you're welcome to come on by as long as you don't drive too fast. There's always something to see or somebody to say hello to. And I guess I feel like a great way to close tonight is since I've been sharing a little bit of the beauty of home with you, maybe it'd be good to share a little bit more of home with you. Thank you so much for your generosity tonight. Thank you for the generosity with your time. It's been wonderful to sit here with you. Every time I see your names pop up in the chat, I see your face in my mind, and I think of experiences that I've had with some of you, and it's a magical and amazing thing. So I leave you tonight with my little town. Close our road on the 4th of July for the kids to ride by. Streamers on their bikes, red, blue, and white, let the judges decide. Bring a dish to share, your favorite holding chair, try to stay cool. We read the famous words, just like we've heard since we were kids in school. In my little town, renamed for Honest Abe, somehow it became where I put roots down. Graveyard stone tied more than bones in the red clay ground. The sunken gravel road winds back in time and slowly disappears. The last dairy farm keeps holding on another year. In my little town, in my little town, when the fire breaks out and the roof caves in, when the snow's piled high, times are worse they've been. Progress of the present brings the future crashing down. Stand up with each other here in our little town. Try not to blink and miss our little town. Those holiday lights, cold winter nights, herald angels sing. From door to door, just like the year before, firelight caroling. We pray that it lasts, cherishing our past until it's gone. Where neighbors still wave, stories we still save to pass on down. In my little town, in my little town, when the fire breaks out, when the roof caves in, when the snow's piled high, times are worse they've been. The progress of the present brings the future crashing down. Stand up with each other here in our little town. Try not to blink and miss our little town. A world of change swirls around our little town. Thank you, friends, for coming to our little town tonight. To my neighbors who've been here, to my friends from coast to coast, from Canada to California tonight, from Florida, from South Dakota, I'm so happy to have you here tonight. I hope you've enjoyed all of this tomfoolery tonight. It's been a real joy to get to share some of these pictures for the first time, to put together a show around the trip, the tours, the stories in between the places. And I sure hope that it made your Earth Day a little bit more meaningful this year, perhaps to take away something that you can do to help perhaps make a little bit lighter footprint yourself. To my neighbors who walk the road with me, who are always picking up the trash, let me say on behalf of our whole community, thank you for doing that. 3.5 miles with a bag and a picker, once a week, it seems like. And the road is often lovely because of it. But it's especially lovely running into neighbors along the way out there in the real world in person. I'm looking forward to doing that with you real soon. But next show coming up is another one from here, from home. You can mark your calendars now. Nobody else knows about it except people under this roof. You're the first to know. And if you're willing to tell 10 friends to come next time, it will be awesome, because that's a poor substitute for doing 10 or 12 shows every month. And I'm definitely not doing that. But it gives me a chance to do something kind of special, and I will cook something up for sure, that's new and different next time around. And I want to leave you with this final message for Earth Day. A friend of mine said wisely not so long ago that Earth, it's where you keep your stuff. And I thought, there's some truth to that. But it's also good to know that the world is watching, like this birch tree up in New Hampshire was watching me with my camera one day, and I aimed back. So I sure hope that you'll join me next time. I thank you. I'm going to leave. I'm going to head on over to Facebook and join some chat over there. So if you want to talk for a while, I will be glad to do that. I'm also going to leave this YouTube up for a little while. So if you missed any of it and you want to go back and see it, or if you want to see some things again, by all means, please do. And again, thank you so much for hitting that donation link up at the top of the chat. I really appreciate that ever so much. So with that, friends, I wish you a great weekend, a very happy Earth Day, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Some of you sooner than others, but I look forward to seeing each of you soon.